I call Ivan McKee to be followed by Ian Gray. Mr McKee, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Today's debate is about the Scottish Government's budget for next year, but it also demonstrates in stark terms why this Scottish Government is the only credible option to run this country's finances. The people who elected us expect us to do a professional job, to evaluate the evidence before us, to make decisions as to how best to proceed, taking into account the likely results of our actions. They don't expect us to ignore reality and just mouth sound bites, and they trust us to make sure the numbers add up. In other words, they expect us to behave like adults, and this is nowhere more important than when it comes to the pound in their pocket. In scrutinising this budget, members of the Finance and Constitution Committee sat through evidence sessions from the Scottish Fiscal Commission. The body set up to provide independent analysis and forecast data for the budget process. We heard about the work the Commission does to evaluate the tax plans of government to make sure they're evidence-based and don't defy the laws of mathematics. We heard about the importance of correctly estimating the value of tax elasticity of income, or TIE, and calculating how much revenue any changes to the tax system will generate, taking into account what actually happens in the real world. I sat with Mr Kelly, Mr Bibby and others while the SFC explained in great detail the care and attention they'd given to doing a professional job, giving the government the robust data it needs to bring forward a budget that will deliver what it says on the tin. Indeed, the impact tax income elasticities have on revenues are covered in some detail in our committee's unanimous report. To ignore their work, to pretend that the world is somehow different from the reality before us, to pretend that 2 plus 2 somehow doesn't equal 4, it's not only an insult to the people of Scotland who expect better from their politicians, it trashes the credibility of those who make those claims. And even judged by its own terms, it takes us nowhere, because as Labour front bench full well knows, if the Scottish Government were by some strange, act to adopt Labour's tax plans, the amount of money the Scottish Fiscal Commission would allow the government to spend in its budget would be hundreds of millions of pounds short of the fantasy data Labour has in its back-of-the-envelope analysis. I'll give way.
James Kelly.
So just in terms of, tax policy and evidence, do you think it's fair, even with the correction that Mr Mackay announced today, that somebody on 45,000 will have the same level of increase as somebody on 150,000? Do you think that's a fair tax policy?
Ivan McKee.
The problem that Mr Kelly's got is every time he opens his mouth, people understand he has no credibility in any of the numbers that come out of it. No idea what he's talking about, unable to add the numbers up, just makes up stuff. And Mr Kelly quoted Spice when he talked earlier. Well, let me tell you what Spice actually said. Our estimates of the income tax revenue raised under different scenarios are static estimates. They do not take account of any behavioural responses that might result from the policy changes outlined. We make this very clear in all our costings and all of our published work on the topic. And Spice goes on to say that any analysis done without taking into account the SFC's behavioural assessments would not be accurate from a modelling perspective. And this is not the only area where Labour's tax plans are holed below the waterline. And non-domestic rates pool the source of another magic £174 million in Labour's alternative reality budget. Mr Kelly knows fine well, at least he should, the Audit Scotland has stated the pool must be brought back into balance by the end of 2018-19. And that is what this budget does. I'll give way.
Ian Gray.
In fact, not the case at all. Audit Scotland have said
sorry, could you start again, Mr Gray? Sorry, bear with me. Could you start again? Your microphone wasn't on to start with. Okay. Thank you.
The member must know that Audit Scotland have said no such thing. They've said that the Scottish Government have said that's what they will do, and that's entirely a matter for them.
No, they've said that...
Ivan McKee.
The sentence we brought in, and would you say that you're not going to do that? Are you going to continually take money out of that pool that doesn't exist? That's another example of Labour's lack of credibility on their budgeting process. It's now clear why Labour left the publication of their tax plans to the last minute to try and avoid any scrutiny of their proposals. Well, that gamble has failed. The credibility of their analysis is in tatters, and Labour seen as unfit to do any more than cart from third place. Tax proposals more worthy of screaming laws such than a supposedly serious political party. And on the other side of the chamber, a different kind of reality denial. I've got a list, Presiding Officer. It's not a short list. In fact, it's rather a long list, all 8 pages of it. And it's not a list I wrote, it's a list that others have written for us. It's a list of spending demands made by Tory members in this Parliament. Well, in 70 different demands, adding up to hundreds of millions of pounds. It goes from air quality monitors through to zebra crossings, the full A to Z of Tory spending demands. But nowhere are there any plans on how to raise the cash. That is because, as everyone can see, when it comes down to it, so I've already taken two, thank you, because when it comes down to it, Tory tax and spend just does not add up. Presiding officer, this budget delivers for the people of Scotland. It reduces taxes for more than 70% of earners. It means the majority pay less tax in Scotland than they would if they lived in the rest of the UK. It makes Scotland the lowest and the fairest tax part of the UK. It does so while meeting manifesto commitments to invest funds over and above inflation in our key public services. It provides the resources that enable the Scottish Government to deliver quality public services, including the best health service in the UK. Besides, this is a budget that exists in the real world where real people make real decisions to deliver real revenue and real services. It isn't a game of fantasy economics where the books don't have to balance or individuals are assumed to behave as we want them to, not as they actually do on planet Earth. Labour and the Tories are competing for the gold medal in the economic incompetence Olympics, one failing to explain how their shop list would be paid for, the other ignoring the laws of mathematics. Clowns to the left of us, jokers to the right of us. Meanwhile, the Scottish Government gets on with the grown-up work of putting together a budget that delivers for the people of Scotland. Thank you.